post-hardware explosion, NVIDIA seems to be setting itself up as a software company as well. So essentially saying, look, we're not just about chips. We know you all know us about
software,
this.
Networking, got it all.
Soup to nuts, networking as well. Yeah, and I think, that's obviously an important kind of thread to the NVIDIA story, because the more people that start to use its software, well, they're not going to want to leave, right? They're going to want to stick with NVIDIA going forward. So, I built my AI service on NVIDIA's platforms. I'm not going to go to AMD now. I'm not going to go to Intel. I'm going to stick with NVIDIA. And now, well, I need to upgrade my chips. I'll probably just go with NVIDIA, right? I don't want to have to, kind of go back to the drawing board. And so it's an important strategy for NVIDIA now, pointing this out. And so
in this video, Nvidia showcased its latest offerings at the AI Summit in Washington, D.C., with a strong emphasis on its growing software platforms. While Nvidia is widely known for its AI processors like the Blackwell and Hopper chips, the company is positioning itself as a one-stop solution for AI, integrating both hardware and software. By partnering with institutions like Carnegie Mellon University and major companies like AT&T, Nvidia is helping businesses enhance their AI capabilities using its technology, making it difficult for customers to switch to competitors. Nvidia's strategy revolves around fostering long-term relationships through its software, ensuring companies stick with Nvidia as they expand their AI capabilities. By locking customers into its ecosystem, Nvidia not only secures continuous demand for its hardware but also strengthens its position in the AI market. This dual approach is key to Nvidia's success, allowing it to dominate both hardware and software, creating a powerful ecosystem for businesses. The video also touched on Nvidia's future potential, driven by growing demand for its AI chips and platforms. As the AI revolution continues, Nvidia is expected to benefit significantly from industries adopting AI at an unprecedented scale. The company's growth strategy ensures it remains a key player in both enterprise and consumer AI.
Yeah, Josh, they basically did a lot of talking, kind of laying out the background of NVIDIA, telling everybody there in DC for this summit. This is the first time they're holding this summit since 2019 in DC. And so they wanted to kind of give the background of where NVIDIA came from, and then really kind of point to the software offerings that they have and how well they're doing and how important they are to NVIDIA. And so, we talk so much about the hardware itself, the Blackwell chips, the different permutations of that, and the Hopper chips, and how demand is for both of those. They talk about how they're working with Carnegie Mellon University and the University of Pittsburgh on different learning facilities for things like robotics and automation. They brought up how they're working with the likes of AT&T and Accenture, kind of going over how these different companies are using NVIDIA's own software to enhance their AI capabilities. And so you imagine that if they're building, like I said, these different pieces of software, these services, or even testing them at this point with NVIDIA software, they're going to continue to go back to NVIDIA as well, just because it wouldn't make sense to kind of, restart from the beginning without them.
All right, folks, NVIDIA. You watching NVIDIA? It continues this sort of almost stealthy move at this point. Now, this morning, it got a boost from Morgan Stanley, which says it expects Blackwell production to reach 450,000 chips. Know what that means? That's $10 billion. This is the fourth quarter. Obviously, that's great news, and good news for my next guest. I'm going to bring in Gabelli Growth Fund's portfolio manager, John Belton.
And on AMD, they got a big event next week. We don't think they're bringing us out there, to lay an egg. And we think that last year on that event, it really popped. And, there is room for number two there. So we feel good about AMD as well.
Speaking of Jensen Huang, here he is with us just a couple days ago.
This is the beginning of a new wave called enterprise AI. And then after that, as we're entering into enterprise AI, we'll simultaneously developing and cultivating the wave after that, which is industrial AI.
So we've got industrial AI that Jensen is talking about. We've also got Apple Intelligence and perhaps an application-driven consumer AI wave. Which is more investable?
Well, I think it's all investable. I think a lot of stuff gets started in consumer, and then it creates actually a lot of interest in the enterprise. And just like what happened when we had the chat GPT mania, then a bunch of enterprises woke up to it. I think as investors, as consumers start using visual intelligence from Apple as well as from Google, their version of that, and those kind of things where you're seeing things with your phone and then asking questions about it, that's going to drive a lot more awareness of AI in general. And I think in enterprise, you're going to start seeing many enterprises want to work with small language models so they can cater it to their industries. And then you're going to also see more adoption of the NVIDIA NIMs architecture, which is really going to fuel more enterprise adoption. And we're in the early innings there. We haven't even seen the interest in AI agents, which are autonomous, really pick up. And that's going to be huge. You've been hearing a lot about it from Benioff. I actually think Microsoft's going to drive that more than a SaaS company. We're just in the early innings, John, on so many things. I'm pretty excited.
The play is over. Not necessarily, we see the orders. Obviously, the orders are mind-boggling, but that this is sort of a toppy-ish kind of thing. It can't last forever. The stock is ahead of itself. How much of that concerns you?
Well, let's just go back to what CEO Jensen Huang said this week on CNBC. He said the demand for their chips right now is insane.
Insane.
It's a pretty strong word.
Yeah. Well, I never heard of that network you're talking about, but I did hear the word insane before in a commercial. I had fun with this. Before you were born, there was this retail outlet called Crazy Eddie.
Yep.
And the guy used to come on TV and say, our prices are insane. Then they went out of business. It was a scam and everything. So
I think it's a different kind of insane he's talking about here.
Okay. Is he laying it on too thick?
Well, I mean, we can talk about Nvidia. I think we're still early innings in
Right.
the AI. I think AI is a technology that's going to have very deep and long-lasting impacts for many years, and Nvidia is going to be one of the prime beneficiaries of that. But I think stepping back, I was watching one of your earlier guests talk about the Magnificent Seven, talking about being kind of long in the tooth in that rally.
Right.
I think I would actually defend a lot of those stocks. I think Nvidia included, and maybe let's remove Tesla from the conversation. We can call it the six-pack.
Right.
These are companies with really strong revenue growth, strong margins, still expanding margins, good shareholder-friendly capital allocation policies. And year to date, I think they've generated more of the index's earnings growth than they have the index's performance. So I think the fundamentals really do justify the stock performance year to date for these stocks.
By the way, I agree with you. I think it's amazing. Everyone's saying, the 493 are going to have pretty strong earnings growth at the end of the year, and still the Mag 7 will probably enjoy better growth at much more complicated.
Well, and I think you could also say earnings expectations. The Mag 7 have been over delivering on expectations. The S&P 493 has actually missed expectations versus the start of the year.
Right.
Which Nvidia and AMD outperforming today. They're two of the top stocks in the S&P 500 over the past month. Both are also scheduled to hold AI events early next week. So could that be the next catalyst for these names? Joining us now is head of Melius Tech Research, Ben Reitzes. Ben, happy Friday. We've talked to Nvidia this week. We've talked about Nvidia a lot this week. Where's the opportunity in chips across Nvidia, which has already been huge? Then you got AMD, and you got Intel, which hasn't been doing so well.
Well, you're talking about two of my favorite names right there, NVIDIA and AMD. NVIDIA just sounds like it's great. I mean, congrats to you to have that great interview the other night with him saying the word insane. I loved that. That sort of tells you what you need to know. Our checks on Blackwell are great, and everybody wants it. That should drive some significant sequential growth in January and then again in April. And then we think the gross margin starts to improve quite a bit on the back of Blackwell after a quarter or two, and that'll get the stock going again. So, we feel pretty good there. We know some folks have voiced some concerns on your network as well, but we're seeing, really good demand. And remember, OpenAI just launched a bunch of stuff, and we're not even inferencing with that stuff yet. And Apple, is getting out Apple Intelligence, which hopefully drives some of the OpenAI. So we feel good there.
In conclusion, Nvidia is solidifying its position as a leader in both AI hardware and software, ensuring long-term customer loyalty by integrating its powerful chips with versatile software platforms. Through partnerships with major institutions and companies, Nvidia is creating an ecosystem that businesses can rely on for their AI development and expansion. This strategy not only drives demand for Nvidia's AI processors but also locks in customers who depend on its comprehensive solutions. As Nvidia continues to innovate and meet growing demand in the AI market, its approach to blending hardware and software ensures it will remain a key player in the industry. With its ongoing collaborations and advancements, the company is well positioned for future growth in both enterprise and consumer AI applications. How do you think Nvidia's focus on both hardware and software will impact its dominance in the AI market? What potential challenges do you see Nvidia facing as it continues to expand its AI ecosystem?